Bienvenidos to Cafecito with HPPR, where we sip coffee, share stories, and celebrate the impact of parks and recreation in our communities. Grab your cafecito and join us for inspiring conversations on leadership, culture, and career growth. Let's build connections one sip at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cafecito, where we sip coffee, talk about how parks and recreation shape Hispanic communities. Today, I have the utmost pleasure of having Nilay Bhatt. He is a friend of mine and someone I've been following for many years. He is the founder and CEO at Next Practice Partners. He's the co-chair and curator of TED Sports Indianapolis, where people and parks is his passion. Nilay, welcome.
Muchas gracias. Thank you for having me. And happy to be on my first ever cafecito with Maria Cepeda.
Woo! All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Nilay, first, you already know what I'm going to ask you. What is your go-to coffee order? Have a fun story behind it. What do you got?
So because I grew up in India, usually the drink of choice used to be tea. So coffee has been an acquired taste over the years. Having worked at park and rec agencies and a lot of them in your, part of the world as well, earlier with Miami, post lunch, I had to have my Cuban coffee. So that was much more of a go-to as well. And I have some really fun memories of being out there with people from Miami, Doral, and other parks and rec agencies, getting our Cuban coffees together.
Well, awesome. Hey, a couple Cuban coffees and you're who needs sleep, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Nilay. Like I said, I've been following you for some time. I always thought, I was always so touched by your passion, how much you value people, parks, community service. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And today's segment is the future of parks and recreation. Nilay, you are a forward thinker. You're always, I feel like, one step ahead. Kind of walk us through your background and just connection to Parks and Rec.
Sure. Firstly, thank you. And I do remember the first time you actually, Jay Tryon from Mecklenburg County, when you were still working there, FaceTimed me at 8:30 at night. Jay never FaceTimes me. And out of the blue, and I said, what does Jay have to do right now except complaining about losing to me in fantasy football or something? And then he says, I have this incredible young professional. She's a rising star, high energy. I want you to talk to her. And then here you are from a rec center. So it's been wonderful seeing your journey becoming the leader you are. Obviously, with HPPR as well, with Cafecito, and what you're doing in Huntersville and for the field across the country. So, no, the feeling's mutual. I have insane respect for you, and I'm just as much a fan as well. So, it's great. From my background, Maria, and you know some of this as well, but obviously I grew up in India, went to school there, grew up there. First half of my life was there as well. And always loved parks, have all these memories, like so many of us, going to parks, playgrounds, playing with friends and all the rest, unstructured, till I came to the US when I was 22. And like many other immigrant stories, you have an immigrant story too. I didn't have anybody here, went to school, came here with 2 bags and $150. And that is all I had. So it was certainly a different time, and went to school in Ohio for sports management and facility administration. Ended up working in Greece for the Olympics. So went from Athens, Ohio to Athens, Greece. And then got a little touch of pixie dust. So I got to work for Disney in Orlando, where this year's NRPA conference is going to be. I know you're going to be there. I'm going to be speaking on a session on Disney and lessons from that as well. And then from Disney, ended up moving to Indianapolis to work with Ben Pros Consulting. And over the years, that was really my intro to the field of parks and recreation. I got into it by accident, but never left. And it's been the most meaningful and rewarding community to be a part of.
And Nilay, no doubt that room is going to be packed. It is always packed. Hopefully this segment gets aired before conference, but it's definitely a session that you have to get a seat for sure. I've been to a couple myself, and I always, again, like when you're talking, it definitely fills people's buckets. I know it fills mine, so that's awesome. So Nilay, what is Next Practice? And tell me a little bit more about like your things that you do with TED and just furthering innovation and ideas.
Sure. Firstly, nice of you to say, but I know why you really come to my sessions. It's because I get you candy. So for those listening, don't believe Maria. It's all the Ferrero Rocher that she likes, and that's what you really come for. But sure, I'll take the compliments anyways. But look, I think with Next Practice, and it's been a mindset. It's something that we've talked about as well before. The sense of continuous improvement and innovation, and especially coming through the pandemic, there was this awareness that we're never going to go back to the way things were before. We're never going back to best practices or status quo, because what we thought was a best practice back then no longer exists. And so the whole ethos and the journey behind creating both the company Next Practice Partners and just the general philosophy around Next Practice is the idea that in any field, we should always be looking at what's new, what's next, and not be content with status quo, not be content with that's the way we've always done it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a really, really important part of the philosophy and the thinking, where we cannot really allow for this kind of mindset where we are just going to be doing what we've always done, because we've seen that years and years and years in the making, where once upon a time, Blockbuster was a best practice. It no longer exists. Once upon a time, the Motorola Razr or the BlackBerry was a best practice. It no longer exists. And what we've seen over the years, and now with technology and AI and all the rest too, is the ones that refuse to evolve and change are going to be obsolete and left behind, whether it's a product or it's an entire field. And so with Next Practice, the idea is that we should always be on a journey, as opposed to a defined destination with the best practice. And no matter how good you are today, there is always room to get better tomorrow. So that's really where Next Practice and the thinking came from.
And that's a really great mindset to get into from the bottom down too, like in any organization. So Nilay, what insights, because we know that you're out in the community, you've been all over. What insights or practices can you offer for effectively engaging and serving Hispanic populations in Parks and Rec specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously with Next Practice Partners, this is what we do, which is planning, training, and technology work, right? So it's a lot of strategic and master planning in communities. It's a lot of organizational culture change and customer service. Now, whether you're planning for the community or customer service, it all starts with the people you're serving. And we know this demographically, that the largest growing population in America is the Hispanic Latino population. And you know this better than I do. We often sort of lump that as a behemoth and say that's one group, but it's not, right? The population when we worked in Miami, for example, versus the population when we did the San Diego master plan or the Las Vegas master plan, they may be speaking Spanish, but from the accents to the dialects to the interest to the country of origin, it's all so different, right? And so there isn't one single thing from my standpoint of learning to say this is what you do. But I think what we've generally observed in our work as well, and what we've tried to always ensure, is that there is a very strong sense of culture and familia that comes with the Hispanic Latino cultures. I see the same with the Asian cultures as well, that it's not just, a parent or siblings, it's the abuelas and it's the tias and it's tios. And so you have everybody there, but it becomes more of a multi-generational and larger family setting. And so the thought is, as we've done the outreach, of course, the obvious part is the language part, is every single thing that you're doing, Are we also ensuring that we have Spanish language for outreach, for public meetings, for the website, etc.? And I know you speak English extremely well, but for someone who's also multilingual, I feel like when someone speaks to me in English, I process with my head, but when someone speaks to me in my native language, I process with my heart. There's an
Yeah.
emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
And so even as you think of the older populations too, the way to connect with them is certainly helpful in their language. So when we look at these plans, and for anybody working with the communities, you want to be mindful that one, you're linguistically meeting people where they are. Two, you're physically meeting people where they are. Not everyone comes from communities where they are comfortable going into a public meeting arranged by a government agency. In some parts of the countries, and some countries in Latin America or otherwise, people are afraid of the government, right? And so it's a cultural change as well, where if you're coming from Colombia or Venezuela or somewhere else, or Cuba, you may not be going to government meetings. So how do we, with our meetings as park and rec agencies that are technically government agencies, how are we going into the communities and how are we building trust, right? And this is such a big part of the Hispanic Latino community. I know that in the Asian community too, relationships matter so much. So finding trusted community partners who can be a part of this planning and the work with you, who can be representing you, whether these are nonprofit leaders or if it's staff as well, where having someone like you on the staff, Maria, makes Huntersville so much more diverse and able to connect with different community members that they otherwise might not, right? So those are some of the things that we've seen in person, online, finding trusted partners, ensuring that we are being empathetic and understanding as we reach out, but recognizing that somebody that speaks the same language in one part of the country may have very different interests than somebody from another part of the country or in another part of the country.
Right. And would you say that too, when you are trying to get people out into the community, specifically with Hispanic or Latino cultures, it's a family affair, right? A lot of people, a lot of families, they have their grandparents with them, they have their aunts and uncles with them. And that is very common, not so much in the US, but I know it is common in Colombia where I'm from. You have kind of, rectangle shaped homes, and it's like your mom lives here, your grandma lives here, your aunt lives here, and so it is very much a family affair trying to get everyone out to a park for a community input meeting. So yeah, that's huge. So, and this is a 3-part question here. Emerging, I always like to ask the good question. What emerging trends do you see or do you forecast for Park and Rec just over the next 5 years, or something that you see on the horizon that, it's good for us to kind of get a leg up on?
For sure. I think to your point, right, this shift into more multicultural and multilingual, broader families and gatherings is certainly a huge part of that too. As we've looked at some of those trends, I think changing the way we have conducted public engagement is going to have to be a hugely important thing, right? So I know, for example, when we did one of these meetings recently in a Hispanic community in Vista in Southern California, we actually had taco trucks outside for all our public meetings, and we had kids and families and grandparents all come there first. But food, as you know, brings the community together.
Yep.
And being able to leverage that cultural understanding around the taco trucks and getting people there was huge. Some other creative ways as well. Another agency we did this. We actually did it in a park across from a school where there was a primarily Hispanic community, but it was just for kids. And we had an option because of the school to have parents and kids come together to engage, right? So in general, and the kids were just drawing a whole bunch of stuff, but there were areas for them to play. There were balls for them to kick around. Football, soccer, as you know, is such a hugely popular sport in the Hispanic Latino community as well. that was another thing we leveraged in terms of the understanding. So I think as a trend, whether it's a Hispanic Latino community or others, recognizing the cultural differences and engaging where people are and what they like to do is going to be hugely important. Otherwise, we risk getting the same loud voices that have the time and ability to come to these meetings, and they may or may not often represent the voice of the actual community at large. Uh, in terms of some of the other things, a few years ago, you might know this, I was talking a lot about esports. They've now become pretty mainstream.
That's
They,
the one I was listening to when
yeah,
Jay, I was like, I just listened to Nilay's segment on esports, and Jay wasn't a very like huge esports person.
not at all, not at
but
all.
he
Yeah,
credited you and was like,
yeah,
that's someone you need to talk to about
yeah,
getting the next, like just thinking like long term. So
yeah.
that was actually the segment that I was referring to. Yeah.
That's crazy. Obviously, so from there, it has now become part of the Olympics, and Saudi Arabia is actually looking to have an entire esports Olympic Games and all the rest. So that's become pretty mainstream. Over the last few years, cricket as a sport has grown a lot as well. And it is now for the first time in LA 28 in the Summer Olympics, it's going to be an Olympic sport after 104 years. So there's a lot of growth and interest, of course, starting a lot more with the Southeast Asian community, but also a lot of Commonwealth countries in general with cricket playing audiences as well. I know in North Carolina, for example, Mooresville has a really fancy cricket stadium, and they've been part of the Major League Cricket, which is a brand new cricket league that's just been launched. Uh, Another kind of sport that I see as well, and that's actually started in Mexico. It's huge in Europe. It is basically the world's pickleball, and it's paddle, right? And they call it either paddle tennis or just paddle. But paddle is this mix between pickleball and squash or racquetball, where you're playing like pickleball, but you also have walls around you behind that you can play off of. So it has the social elements, it has a physical activity element. It takes up half the space of a tennis court, but it has a sound and noise insulation that pickleball doesn't have, right? So it is the fastest growing sport in Europe. And there are two key people that are promoting paddle now across the world. One of them is called Cristiano Ronaldo. The other is called Lionel Messi. So when two of the three most followed people in the world are promoting it, it's going to get bigger. And so that's a key element as well. And then, of course, at this point, you can't talk about trends and not talk of AI, right? And I see this in the bigger lens of both automation and AI as well, where we don't have enough staff, we're not going to have enough budgets from the federal government down, budgets are getting cut as well. So how do we as Park and Rec agencies financially plan for the future? And that's where recognizing too that automation and AI is not just something that is nice to have. It's going to be necessary to complement the needs that we have as an agency, because you're not going to have enough staff to do all the work you need to do or as efficiently as you can possibly do it. So from automated lawnmowers to line stripers to having a gamut of AI tools. Most of them use the chatbots with ChatGPT, Grok, etc. But being able to leverage that across all aspects of what you do is going to be really, really important as we look at the field for the future.
And getting the job done no matter what, servicing, being public servants, keep bringing programs and events out to the community with any budget that we have.
True, right? Within the limited budgets, and ultimately, with all this being said, and this is me putting my Disney hat on with all the pixie dust to say that no matter what, technology and AI will never take away the human interaction and the human connection. So if you can have technology take care of some of the things that you otherwise would be spending time on doing, hopefully it frees you up to focus on the relationship building, the mentoring, the connections, the belonging that we as a field can create, right? So those are things where I would see as an agency, everyone should be looking at every step of what they do and journey mapping what needs to be automated and what needs to be kept humanized.
Ooh, that needs to be a quote somewhere.
I'm trademarking it right now. You are on
I'm sure it is.
Cafecito.
Well, awesome, Nilay. This has been super, super enlightful. Just to wrap up, what's one key message you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I'd say in general, with all these changes and where the future is coming, I mean, we know change is a constant. And what I leave people with is over and over again, we've seen this. And with anything unforeseen, we've always had two choices. We can either be forced to change or we can be a force for change. And we in Parks and Recreation need to be a force for change, to be inclusive, to be innovative, and to help people come together as a community and feel a sense of belonging. That's something we also look at within TED and in the space we do with ideas and innovation. That's what we do in Parks and Rec. That's what we do across the field as well. So that's certainly something I would recommend and have a message for the field.
Fantastic. And Nilay, someone that wants to reach out to you, where can people find you or learn more about your work?
So you can reach out. Next Practice Partners is our company. My email is nilay.bhatt@bnextpractice.com. bnextpractice.com is also a website. Find us, follow us on LinkedIn, connect with me as well in any way too, and would be happy to help and help connect, share resources, share ideas, do whatever else we can as well.
And looking up at the horizon, what is next for TED?
Oh, so we've got a couple of things that Next Practice Partners is connected with and working with TED as well. One of them is we're working with the largest sports center development on the south coast of Portugal, on Europe and the south coast of Portugal there as well, which is looking at transforming the entire sports landscape and how things are from performance, injury, elite athlete training, sports events, all the rest. Those kinds of ideas then led to more conversation on the TED front as well, to be able to look at how can we bring forth even more ideas around recreation, around play, around sports. And so happy to speak to the fact as well that we are now partnering with TED to launch the world's first TED for sports. It is the only one of its kind. Over the years, there have been multiple TEDx events. We've done TEDx College Park as well as part of Parks and Rec and some of the other spaces. So many great folks, Katie Keller, Tom Beniro, Karen Lucier, Katie Mack as well, among others. Matt Carasona have all been part of that too. But this is really the next frontier where this is global. It's one of one. And it's looking at ideas that can truly change the world, but the underpinning is sports, it's play, it's recreation. So really happy to bring that forward. TED has a monthly reach of 370 million views every month. And so to be able to bring these kind of ideas at a global level would be something that we would look at true impact and hopefully, one step at a time, help change the world.
So cool. The work that you do is so cool. That is just the word I can describe it. So cool.
Thank you. No, it's meaningful. And, with my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, Jason Elizalde, and the rest of our team as well, I think we're on a mission to help ensure communities are more inclusive and more innovative. And, this just is one more step in that direction.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nilay, so much. For those listening, I want to plug in our online link. Visit us at www.hppr.online. You guys can learn more about our work that we're doing. And thank you for joining us on Cafecito with HPPR. Nilay, again, thank you so much. Always so great to talk to you. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share the next episode. See you next time. Thank you, Nilay.
My pleasure. Thank you. And kudos to you, to Eric, to Juan Carlos as well for the work you're doing. This is meaningful and it is changing lives. So bravo. Muy bien.
Thank you.
Adios.
Thank you for joining us on this Cafecito. We hope today's conversation gave you a little inspiration, connection, and community. If you want to learn more about how Hispanic professionals in park and recreation are making a difference and how you can get involved, visit us at hppr.online. Until next time, keep showing up, stay inspired, and don't forget to bring your whole self to the table. Nos vemos!